have slowly but surely made him master of his environment. The products of man's ingenuity, but no less amazing, the lowly spider wanders without anything resembling man's transit or plumb line, pattern, or without any tool except those which God has fashioned as a part of her body. There are an estimated 100,000 species throughout the world, each possessing a number of engineering skills that qualify him as a master craftsman. For example, the orb weaver, garden variety of spider, engineers webs in a most exquisite fashion. Her gossamer highways bridge leafy chasms with almost invisible ropes of silk, each of incredible strength, stronger in fact than steel of equal size. She manufactures her rope from silk glands in her body as she goes along. 6 spinnerets located at the tip of her abdomen release 5 different kinds of liquid from 3,600 holes. She can spin a single strand, a heavy cable, or a broad band. Under her careful control, the silk may be elastic or non-elastic, sticky or non-sticky, colored or transparent. From it, she will manufacture foundations, guy wires, scaffolding, trap lines, signal cords, mummy cases, baby cradles, balloons, kites, blankets, and cushions. In making its web, this first throws out a strong but narrow bridge. This becomes the base for the entire structure. The spider then spins a series of radiating spokes as a framework. And then, beginning at the hub of the spokes, it lays down a circular pattern of threads in an ever-widening spiral. The hind legs are used both to measure off the proper distance between the silvery strands and to place them into position. For man to weave his great aerial highways of steel and concrete requires the combined work of hundreds of engineers and many months or even years of planning. But the spider is endowed with the ability to perform an engineering feat that defies man's ability to fully comprehend. The spider's construction is accomplished without any previous training and without any evident blueprint or pattern. While waiting for some juicy morsel to blunder into its trap, some spiders will station themselves in the center of the web. Others, however, keep hidden nearby. When the trap is sprung, the vibrations of the insect's struggles are carried to the spider, which immediately rushes out to subdue its prey and carefully package it up for a future meal. On closer inspection, we find that the spider is not an insect at all. He is an arachnid, something very different. For one thing, the spider has 8 legs in place of the insect's 6. He has 2 body sections instead of the insect's 3. And unlike the typical insect, he has no wings or antennae. Now perhaps you're wondering how the spider avoids being caught in its own trap. Well, the reason is not hard to find. The web is actually made up of 2 kinds of silk. One kind is elastic and sticky. The other is inelastic and non-sticky. The spokes of the web, the framework, and the guy lines that support it are all of inelastic and non-sticky silk. But the spirals that connect the spokes are very elastic and stick to everything that touches them. The web is not the only example of spider engineering. Great skill is exercised in the construction of the egg sac, a silken ball which will protect the eggs and, later, the newly hatched spiderlings. First, a downy cushion is spun to cradle the egg. When this has reached a satisfactory size, egg laying begins. The lustrous yellow cap grows hour by hour until some 200 eggs have been deposited. When all the eggs are laid, they are covered with strand after strand of silk. Having made this super nursery, insulated, waterproof, and furnished with the richest silks, satins, and floss blankets, the mother takes no more interest in her young, and she soon dies. Before long, the little ones will emerge from their cushioned comfort, and without being taught, will immediately begin to build miniature webs of exquisite beauty. Silk spinning is by no means confined to the orb weaver. There's a certain fat, grotesque creature known as the bolus spider. Now, of course, the word bolus refers mainly to a kind of lariat used by the Argentine gaucho. But long before the days of the gaucho, our little spider was making good use of the bolus. Chances are you've never seen her. For, like a great many spiders, she's active only at night. The spider forms her bolus by rolling up a little ball of sticky silk, which she hangs from the end of a strong silken line. Then she pulls herself up to a vantage point, catches hold of the bolus, and prepares to cast it at the first insect that comes within range. What it is that attracts the insect is not definitely known. It's possible that the reflection of light on the swinging bolus is part of the answer. Be that as it may, since the spider is ready and waiting, let's dangle a tasty morsel in front of her and see what happens. The spider makes use of a pair of built-in hypodermic needles to put her victim to sleep. She injects just enough poison to paralyze the prey, but not enough to kill it. That way, the food remains fresh. Later, the spider returns to feed by draining juices from the body of the victim. Eventually, only the empty shell is left. At hatching time, a spider nursery is usually overcrowded. Like most of her kind, the female bolus spider will often produce more than 150 little spiderlings. For a long time, man's excursions underwater were limited by how long he could hold his breath. Various devices have extended that limit from a few minutes to several hours. A diving suit with a complex system of air and communication lines, lead shoes, and descending line provide him with a cumbersome but reasonably efficient means of remaining submerged. Another underwater breathing device consisting of compressed air bottles, special demand regulators, face mask, and breathing tube allow for a much greater freedom of movement. As a result, thousands of the more adventurous have taken up this exciting sport to add another dimension to their lives. But wait a minute. What about this little creature, the Argyroneta, or diving spider? No elaborate equipment here, just a bubble of air. No heavy cable or descending line, just a thin strand of silk. The home of the Argyroneta is unique. A silvery bell filled with air and attached to the stems of submerged plants. Feeding, molting, mating, and the rearing of the family all are carried on beneath the water. Like other spiders, she is equally well equipped for spinning silk. The roof of her house is a network of silken strands. No heavy door bars entrance to this silvery bungalow. She has but to touch the wall and she's in. The problem is to get in and out without dividing the house into a duplex, and stay out without drowning. This is accomplished in a most ingenious fashion. The spider breathes through openings in its abdomen. In order to survive, it must always retain a life-giving bubble of air to cover its apparatus. The spider's abdomen bristles with tiny hairs with hooks on the end. They not only make it possible to capture the large bubble, but also retain sufficient air for unhampered work and travel beneath the surface. There is no need for the Argyroneta to spin a web to capture her prey. The surface of the water provides a potential trap for every insect that hops or flies over its surface. Occasionally, a moth drops in for lunch. The spider's lunch, that is. Unceremoniously, she is escorted to Davy Jones' locker. Yes, at last man has solved the problems of limited ventures beneath the tide, apparently accepted by this strange family of creatures that move so gracefully through a fluid sky. But we cannot help but pause and wonder at the engineering skill imparted to this little spider that enables it to live a lifetime beneath the water. Actually, we have hardly begun to observe the diversity of skills spiders possess. Each day we see doors of every kind, of every size and shape, and for every purpose. But actually, none of these is quite as remarkable as a door fashioned long before man ever dreamed of the device. Of course, this door isn't easy to see, but that's part of the plan. The camouflage affords real protection to the trapdoor spider. Snugly fitted into the ground, the door is lined with layer upon layer of silk, a marvel of engineering, and no less a marvel is the spider herself. For if, in spite of camouflage, her privacy is disturbed, she hangs onto the door with all her might. In order to break her hold, a pull of at least 140 times her weight is needed. The trapdoor spider is a skillful engineer that has never seen a drawing board or a transit. And when the need for building a home arises, excavation proceedings get underway. The spider is well equipped for the job at hand. Both ends work at once. On the south end of a northbound trapdoor spider is a pair of spinnerets. These contain tiny openings through which the fluid from the silk glands is spun into fragile strands of silk. On the north end, a pair of strong pedipalps function like a steam shovel, digging the dirt and placing it precisely where it should be. The God that made this wonderful little builder provided her with all the necessary tools. When she encounters excessive dirt, the steam shovel becomes a catapult. The finishing work on the trapdoor is the surfacing of the underside with a fine silken lining. When the job is completed, there will be a lustrous coating of silk from the top of the nest to the bottom, and the coating will be as smooth as glass and as soft as down. What could be more fitting after a hard day's work than a good square meal? Man's achievements are the result of technical advancements covering many generations. But not so with the spider. He did not learn to make a web. He did not fashion the intricate tools that defy man's ability to fully comprehend or duplicate. He did not equip himself to live in these strange environments. This is not the work of a beginner, but this is. The little spider that fashioned this trapdoor had never done it before. In the spider world, skilled craftsmen are not made but born. The spider's abilities are not due to its own ingenuity. It possesses tools that it had no part in fashioning. Clearly, then, the engineering marvels it performs reflect not its own wisdom, but that of God, the great planner and engineer who created the spider. and traced in it the blueprint for a particular pattern of life.
Hello everybody, I'm Skip Alzheimer of AV Geeks. We collect old 16mm educational films and show them to folks like you via the internet, and when there's not a pandemic, I tour around with a projector and we actually watch the 16mm in theaters, museums, galleries, bars, clubs, outside even. School buses. So that last film was Spider Engineers, and that was a Moody Institute of Science film, narrated by Dr. Irwin Moon. And Dr. Moon is, I have a great deal of respect for him, even though he is anti-evolution. He has a PhD in religious studies, but he was a hobbyist scientist slash photographer, and he used to do these amazing sermons from science, where he would do things like hook himself up to a Van de Graaff generator, and he would show these films that he had made of time-lapse photography and stop-motion stuff, and really kind of amazing. But this film is very interesting because it looks at aspects of what spiders can do. And what it does, when it gets to the point of trying to explain how they do it, he just kind of goes, oh, I think God did it. And that's kind of where his science breaks down, is that he's a great observer and documentarian of scientific phenomenon, but when it comes to explaining it, he just turns to the Bible and says, God did it. So I wrote an article with a guest I'm having tomorrow evening, Dr. Marcia Gordon, and we wrote a thing about Moody Institute of Science. It's kind of fascinating. And I'll show more of those films. I've shown a couple in the past, but they're fascinating because they're beautifully shot, and if you could take out the anti-evolution stuff, it's really great. This next film is an interesting kind of artifact. I got this from a local university that was getting rid of a lot of the films that were part of their film and television program, and they were just going to be thrown in the dumpster, and the person who was in charge of that said, this is a waste. I'm going to reach out to Skip, because I know him from long ago. And so this film it's what's called a work print. So basically what they did to make a 16mm film is you would shoot the footage, you would develop it, and then make a copy of it. And the copy you would clip up and make a work print of. Then you would send that to the lab, and the lab would then make the edits on the original footage based on the work print. So what you're going to see like little marks, like X's and lines that are China marker things that are basically talking about transitions. This film is going to go back and forth between having sound film and silent film. It also will feature some footage that I showed weeks ago of a parade, a traffic safety parade that was in New Bern, North Carolina. And so the gist of this film is this is a film, the finished film, which I don't know where it exists. It's probably somewhere at an archive or languishing in a closet somewhere. But this is trying to convince people to do safety inspections on their car before that was required by law. So here it is, 10 points for safety.
Highway Patrol. Mrs. Perkins speaking. There's been a bad wreck half a mile down the road from here. Please hurry.
I'll just pass you those scissors.
As the key city in the nation in the operation of these 10-point safety check lanes, we fervently hope that many lives will be saved through the cooperation of the people of our community and of the nation as a whole. Now to declare this lane officially open, and I'm going to ask Miss Betty James, our Miss Safety Lane, if she will cut the ribbon to indicate the opening of the lane. Thank you.
little dark in here. We can't see good tonight, you know. All right, the next number for this canvas is 036147. 036147. 036147. There you go. Sit down a minute. Next.
Yeah, so that's an interesting artifact. And if kind of the gist of it is, it's showing the need for safety inspections by, talking about an accident. Then how the civic leaders get together to form a committee and to celebrate maybe a week of auto safety with a parade. They set up a lane where cars can get inspected. Really kind of an interesting thing. And I showed this in Rocky Mount. I got it wrong. It wasn't New Bern. It's Rocky Mount. I actually was invited to participate in a digitizing event at Rocky Mount, thanks to Melissa Dahlman, who is watching us on Facebook. And so I brought stuff to digitize material, but I also brought stuff that I had that was Rocky Mount centric, and people watched it and they were able to identify and remember, like, oh yeah, I remember that thing at the fairgrounds. I remember the gala, and they were actually able to ID some of the kids in there with their bicycles. Like, that's such and such so-and-so. Well, he just died. But it was really kind of fascinating to show this where it was shot. I love doing that. I love kind of bringing the materials that I have and showing them to people, and they can find context within the films. But as you notice, there was like these stripes and then an X. Those are notes for the lab when they actually make the film on what goes where. Obviously, the brrr sound was that was silent, but it was double sprocketed film going through our sound head, which just goes brrr. And there was occasional audio that you would hear. And so there would be a recorded soundtrack of somebody narrating. So at some point I hope to find the actual film, because it's an interesting thing. This is long before states required inspections of vehicles. All right, let's jump to the 70s. This next film is part of a series called Inside Out, which I've shown episodes of in the past. This would be shown on public television, and also people would watch them in class. I remember a television being brought in and us watching some things on public television that just happened to sync up with our class. This was also released on 16 millimeter and distributed to schools. Inside Out is generally an open-ended show, so you'll see some stuff, but you might not see a resolution at the end. So prepare yourself, brace yourself for this. This is called Brothers and Sisters.
that movie? The one my brother saw? Is that one? What's that? Oh, the lady with that wasn't scolded. Oh, that victims. I know. Tara wakes you and everything. Really cool. Hey, let's go to the 1 o'clock show on Saturday. See? Yeah, why not? Well, I don't know. Why not? Well, I want to, but I don't know. Well, what's wrong? Why don't you want to go see it then? Because my mom gets so excited about those things. You know that. Your mom won't let me go to horror movies. Your mother doesn't like you to see horror movies. Yeah, she won't let me go see it. She gets so mad. Your mother is weird. I don't believe this. His mother won't let him. His mother won't let him go see a horror movie. Well, let's go play with my cars. Okay, we might as well. Come on, I got 2 loops and a track and cars and everything. Yes, I'll walk away and leave it. Oh, I know you won't believe it. I'll just walk away and leave it on the floor. Oh, great. Hey, what's that noise? Oh, that's my bratty little sister practicing for her play. She's been in there 3 weeks. It's fine. Look at that little squirt in there prancing around. Oh, no, you won't believe it. I'll just walk away and leave it on the floor. Where's your mom? Oh, she's always showing off to Mom. Dumb kid. Hey, how are we going to get them out of there? Oh, we'll find a way. Here, come on. Come on, let's get in here. Yeah, man. It's a cozy sanctuary, but it's far from necessary, 'cause I'm just a soapy I am best before. Then I will go and lay my blanket on the floor. Yes, I'll away again, and I will lay you again. You You've been practicing all week. This isn't your room. I know. We said that so we can play with it. It's not going breaking those stupid old cars. No. You go to our house and play. No, you've been here all week. We want to play here now. You always come in here when we're practicing. The play is tomorrow. It's much more important than anything you have to do with your dumb cars and your dumb friends. Get out of here. No. We have to. You can't just come running in here. We're here first. This is too important. We can't just leave.
We're not fighting about it. Every time I turn my back, all I hear in here is shrieking. Now, what is it?
Well, she's the use of the table.
I can't stand this. David, I want you and your friends to find another place to
Oh,
play
you're
this
on her
afternoon.
side.
She's got her play on Saturday.
All you care about is Sarah's dumb play.
Today, she's got to have this room in here and the piano to practice. You guys will have to find another place.
We'll let the babies have it.
And Sarah, we have one playroom, and we have 2 kids to share it, and you've got to learn to do it without fighting. I can't stand it.
But Mommy makes me so mad.
Well, you make each other mad. All brothers and sisters get mad, but you can't fight all the time. You've got to work it out differently.
I just hate my brother, especially when he's with his friends. He is so mean. You're lucky you don't have any brothers and sisters.
You want to practice some more?
No. I don't care.
Every time we walk in there, we get kicked out.
Hazel, she treats us like dogs.
I know, you're stalling
Sarah gets the playroom. Yes.
How long did you spend working on those cars last?
Too long.
And I oiled up mine.
You know what to do?
What?
I'm gonna go anyway. I'm gonna go to that movie anyways, you guys.
Well, what happens if your mom finds out?
I don't care what my mom thinks. Who wants to go see Sarah's dumb play?
Don't blame you.
Oh, get up. David? you after this afternoon? It was your fault. You were the one that brought your stupid friends in while I was trying to practice.
You had the playroom all week.
Come on, just help me.
You can't do anything today. Oh, this thing's all messed up.
David, you gotta come to my play.
Who wants to go to your dumb play?
But if you don't come and with Dad out of town, then Mom will be the only one.
I'll try, but I have some other plans.
What are the plans?
Oh, they're private.
Well, my play's at 2:30. What time is your thing?
Oh, I just have to be somewhere at 1 o'clock.
Oh, come on, come to my play, please.
Look, I'll make you a deal. I'll come to your play on Saturday if you stay out of the playroom for 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yep.
If you come to my play and tell me the secret.
I'm not going to tell you the secret. That's private.
Come on, I'm not going to tell anyone.
It's private. I don't want to tell anybody.
Told the secret. You know that.
I don't want to tell anybody. It's private.
Come on.
All right, here's the deal. I'll tell you the secret and come to your play if you stay out of the playroom for 3 weeks and don't tell Mom.
All right. What?
Well, you know that movie theater down on Wisconsin Avenue?
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and my friends are going to go see the movie, The House That Drip Flood.
Gonna see that? A horror movie? But David, you know how Mom feels about that.
It's really cool. They got like bloody heads and a drip flood.
David, what about my play? Are you still gonna
I'll get
come?
to your play, but don't forget the deal.
I'm not gonna forget the deal. Good night.
Oh, that was so cool. That was such a gross movie. What time is it?
It's 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock? Oh, no. What's the problem? Mom.
Just know how to live with it and handle it.
Sarah, that was great on you. It was really good. I'm so proud of you. You did such a good job. I'm really proud of you.
Oh, there's Sarah climbing all over her. I wish I could hear what they're saying. You better not be telling.
Do you know where David is? I didn't see him.
I haven't seen David. Is he supposed to be here?
Yes, he said he'd be here. I don't know where he is.
Well, he said he'd come. It's not like David not to be here. Do you know where he went this afternoon?
No, I don't know where he went.
Well, he's not here tonight.
Let's go on home and we'll see if he's there.
All right, David, you sit there and listen to me. You didn't show up for my play, and you know it. And now you're going to get it. It's raining, David. You stupid head. You broke your promise, and the deal is off. You stupid. And since you broke your end of the deal, I'm going to break mine. I'm going to use the playroom every day. I don't care what you say. I ought to tell Mom where you were. Then you'd really get it.
Sarah, honey, I'm going upstairs to rest for a while.
Okay.
If David isn't home in a few minutes, would you please come out and set the table for me?
No, Mom, that's not fair. I said it last night. It's his turn tonight.
Oh, Sarah, fair or no, the table's got to be set, and David's not here yet.
I'm not going to do it. It's his turn.
Sarah, I am expecting you to do it.
I'm not going to do it. Now you're really going to do it. How you like that, David? You didn't come to my play.
Oh, come on. I tried all I could to get to your play.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I killed myself to get there. When I got there, everybody was leaving.
And then where'd you go?
Oh, get off my back. I tried all I could to get to your dumb play.
It wasn't a dumb play. And anyway, the deal's off because you didn't hold your
Oh, yeah. You're out for 3 weeks.
No, you don't, because you aren't going to be leading it while you're being punished for the horror movie.
Did you tell Mom about that?
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
Did you tell
Maybe
her?
I did, maybe I didn't tell her. Maybe I did, maybe I did. Find out for yourself. Why don't you go ask her? Did you tell her? Maybe, maybe.
Tell me.
Not.
Come back here. Did you tell her?
Maybe, maybe not.
Better not. I'm gonna kill you. I swear.
Ah!
Killed. You broke my track.
Sarah's right. You know I wouldn't have told. I didn't. You know I wouldn't.
You better not have.
I didn't.
Did you tell?
No, I didn't.
Did you tell?
I didn't, but I will if you don't get off.
You better not. Okay, kids, what is it this time? How about it, David?
Oh, we're just fooling around.
Sarah?
Inside Out is a series of programs and related materials developed and supported by 32 educational agencies in the United States and Canada, with additional support from Exxon Corporation. This program was produced by WNVT, Northern Virginia Educational Television, under the supervision of NIT, National Instructional Television.
Yeah, boy. Setting that in the 70s and then having the brother and sister dynamics, of course, brings up lots of memories of my childhood. I was the older brother, and my sister just wanted to play with me, and I just was not tolerating it. So I was not the nicest brother. But we have reconciled. We're very good friends now as we are adults. I think once we both cleared high school, we figured out what was important to us. So, all right. This next film features some puppets and is these marionettes, and it is a parable. It's a parable. Here we go. The story of the prodigal son. This has a little bit of has a lot of leader ahead of it.
See, my dog has made friends with you.
He reminds me of my dog at home.
Where is your home?
It is far from here, in North Galilee.
You are returning home?
I have been returning for many months, but I never get there. I cannot go home. I am ashamed.
How is that?
It is a sad tale. I am an unworthy son. 6 months ago, my father gave me a sum of money and told me to go to Jerusalem to buy certain goods for him. On the way, I met a young man, and we traveled together for a time. One morning, I awoke to find my companion gone. My money was gone too. I cannot return home and tell my father that I lost the money.
But your father loves you. He must want you to come back to him.
You will not wish to see a son who is not trustworthy.
Young man, you need to take your thoughts from your troubles for a time. Come with me to hear the great teacher, Jesus of Nazareth.
So it must have been in the time of Jesus. People came to him to hear him talk. The young man and his new friend joined them and listened also. Jesus was beginning to tell a story. There was a man who had 2 sons. As he speaks, the listeners picture the people in the story. A man with 2 sons. A workman who knows what it is to toil, and whose sons know also. Yet a good man and a careful one who has saved some money for his son's future. Such a man would have a wife who was expert at household tasks. One of his sons would be steady and hard-working. And the other, the younger one, would be lively and not too fond of his tasks, given to watching the road that ran past the gate. A passerby would claim his attention, and a light-hearted tune would take his mind completely away from his work, while a gay stranger who beckoned to him would arouse all his longings. This son would be eager to get out into the world instead of working hard like his brother. Should he stay at home with his father? Should he follow the gay stranger? His mind is made up. He will leave home. He says, "Father, give me the share of property that falls to me." His words were a shock to his mother and to his kindly father. It is hard on a father to have his son demand his share of the property so early in life. But such a father would not protest, though his heart ached because his son was eager to leave home. But the son's heart was filled with joy when he saw that he was to get what he wanted. And the father divided his property between his sons. Early one morning, not many days later, the younger son gathered his belongings and took his journey into a far country. The far country. Who hasn't dreamed of it in his mind? The place where there are no troubles, where all is laughter and joy and beauty. In the far country, he'd find friends who would laugh and feast with him and help him spend his money. And when he had spent everything, a great famine arose in that country, and he began to be in want. Hard times have come. The young man's friend will not stand by him now that all the money is gone. Hard times are bad even at home, but in the far country, they are bitter indeed. What kind of work can an unknown lad get? So he went and hired himself to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed swine. A keeper of swine, a feeder of pigs. What a lowly task for one who was used to a loving family, good clothes, and plenty to eat. He won't make much of a living as a swineherd. His food will be little better than what the pigs eat. And he would gladly have fed on the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. When he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I perish here from hunger? I will arise and go to my father. And I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no more worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he came to his father. But while he was yet at a distance, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to his father, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called son.' But the father said, Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to make merry. Jesus went on with his story, but the young man could stay no longer.
Where are you going?
Let me go. I have been wrong. The story shows me that.
I think your father would rather lose the money than his son.
I have been too proud to ask for forgiveness. I too will arise and go to my father. I too will ask for forgiveness.
You are right. Go in peace.
So they left out the part where the younger brother of the prodigal son, or the brother of the prodigal son, says, "But Dad, that's not fair. It's not fair. I've been here the whole time working for you, and then you like treat him like that. He like totally messed up, and then you're being all good to him. That's not fair." So I'll leave it at that. I think it's pretty fascinating. All right, this next film is. It's an Avon film, and basically we see, it's called The Joy of Living with Fragrance, and we see a woman cover every inch of her life with a stinky Avon product. Enjoy, and hopefully your sinuses won't explode when you watch this.
What is there about this woman that turns everyone's head? True, she looks lovely. But so does this attractive lady. And this one. And this pretty blonde. Yes, what you see is lovely. It's what you don't see that everyone in the room is aware of. It's her very special individuality, her exquisite aura. In a word, her fragrance. How describe the mystery that is fragrance? It's the rapture inspired by the Taj Mahal. It's the dream come true of a castle in Spain. It's the mystery, the romance of faraway places. It's the breathtaking beauty of blossoms in the spring. It's the color, the ecstasy of a golden sunset. All these joys, this high emotion, this mystery are captured in a bottle. This is the magic of fragrance for you to wear and to share. To give you added confidence, a heightened personality, a uniqueness that is yours alone. Evocative and provocative. A joy to you, a delight to others. Fragrance is truly the projection of you as a woman. What is fragrance made of? Flowers and spice and everything nice. from the world over, from every continent, from every ocean. The town of Grasse in France is famous for being the garden of the world, for fragrance is the business of Grasse. There, blooms are nurtured by the unique blend of air from the mountains and the Mediterranean. Look at this jasmine. Almost 10 million blooms scent the air in Grasse. Acres and acres of roses from whose petals fragrance is extracted. Tube roses, a vital factor in many perfumes. Feathery mimosa. Sunny jonquils. Tender violets. Starry narcissus. Hyacinths. Honeysuckle. Lavender. And sage, all grown in Grasse to add fragrance to your life. From Italy come oranges and bergamot. And from far-flung places come exotic flora, geraniums, and ylang-ylang from islands off the African coast, lemongrass from the Congo, rosewood from Brazil, clove from Zanzibar, ginger from Jamaica, eucalyptus from Haiti. Now, to hold this fragrance, to keep its magic lingering for hours, fixatives are used. Ambergris from the whale, civet from the civet cat, musk from the musk deer. Then, through various techniques, the flower oils are removed. This process is called enfleurage. Slowly but faithfully, it extracts the essential oil from flowers. To myriad fragrance elements provided by nature, recent scientific discoveries have added new and entirely different components. The result? Fragrances never known before. Think of it, a selection of more than 6,000 elements, natural and man-made. Yet the most important factor, perhaps, is the perfumer, the vital human element so important to all creative activity. He is known as the nose, and he must be able to distinguish between thousands of scents. Using his imagination, his very special flair, he works with this palette of fragrance elements from garden, meadow, sea, and science to create a masterpiece. How does a perfumer know when he has composed a great fragrance? First, he impregnates a blotter with the scent. Then the perfumer sees. Yes, see is the professional term for smelling. He sees the harmonic combination of elements. And thus, a great fragrance is born. What are the different types of fragrance? Basically, there are 7. Single floral, floral bouquet, woodsy mossy, oriental, spicy bouquet, fruity, and modern. And oh, what mood magic they perform. The Oriental blend is tantalizing, magical, mysterious, and makes you feel that way. The single floral captures the very heart of a rose, or lilac, or jasmine, whatever your favorite flower. The effect, feminine, romantic, appealing. The floral bouquet is an intricate blend of many blooms, the kind of scent you enjoy when you bury your face in an armful of flowers. Does a fragrance make you think of woods and waterfalls? Then it's a woodsy mossy blend, a warm aromatic scent that transports you to an enchanted forest. A spicy bouquet, old-fashioned spices and contemporary gaiety. What a marvelous combination. You'll know it's a fruity blend if it has the warm, lush, mellow scent of sun-ripened fruit. And finally, the modern type. It's dry and brilliant, sophisticated and subtle, and there's an elusive top note, frequently a floral one. How should you choose a fragrance? Selecting perfume is a very personal matter for 2 reasons. 1, tastes differ. 2, skin chemistry differs from woman to woman. That's why the wise woman chooses fragrance carefully, and why so many women prefer to select it in the privacy of their homes. And you must try fragrance on your skin. Apply a few drops to the inside of your wrist, where a pulse beat warms up the scent, bringing it to full bouquet. Try no more than 2 at a time. If you try too many, you will lose your ability to tell the difference. Another try. A few moments to dry. This one is wonderful. By trying it on her skin, this lady has discovered a scent that is hers and hers alone, that makes her feel confident, cherished, all woman. Just as every woman has a wardrobe of clothes for daily living, for sports, for parties, for different seasons, and a wardrobe of lipsticks to harmonize with her clothes, many women have wardrobes of fragrances to suit their moods and the occasion. Some women like to wear light, flowery scents in summer, more exotic ones in winter, while others prefer to be identified always by the same fragrance worn as a personal signature. So many women wonder, what is the difference between perfume and cologne? Perfume is scent in its most concentrated form, fragrance at its strongest. Cologne is less concentrated, so you will want to use it lavishly for the most desirable effect. Use perfume, don't hoard it, for time will cause it to evaporate or even spoil. Keep it in a dark, cool place until you open it. The correct way to apply perfume is to pulse spots. Wrist, inside elbow, throat, temple. The warmth there helps the fragrance unfold. Use fragrance for your own enjoyment and for the pleasure of people around you. Splash cologne is applied to every inch of you, here, there, and everywhere. Always allow fragrance to dry before putting on lingerie or jewelry. Another heavenly way to use cologne is to spray it all over you, all about you. You'll walk in beauty. And fragrance comes in so many delightful forms. Bath oil transforms an everyday necessity into an everyday delight. It softens and scents the water, silkens and scents your skin, and makes you feel pampered besides. Dust on velvety powder after your bath. It absorbs moisture, makes dressing easier, and smells divine. Or another way to use fragrance, cream sachet. Just smooth it on your skin. The cream disappears, leaving a lovely, lingering scent. Fragrance, anyone? Fragrance, everyone. But no need to use mothers when there are light, delicate scents created just for little girls. And what a nice way to start them on taking greater pride in good grooming. A nice feminine touch is to spray your closet with sachet. Another is to scent bureau drawers with powder sachet. What a lift it gives you to wear clothes that smell fresh and sweet. Of course, you're fastidious, so you scent the water when you rinse your lingerie. And for sweet dreams, fragrance on your pillow. Spray cologne on your hair. So nice to have sweet-smelling hair. And always remember that perfume may not last on you more than a few hours. So be sure to carry a purse flacon to renew your perfume as frequently as you do your lipstick. It's a lovely idea to spray fragrance in the room before guests arrive. This expresses your personality as a hostess just as your flower arrangements do. Such delightful things happen to you when you wear fragrance. Like a friend saying to you, "What's that wonderful perfume you have on?" Or a perfect stranger saying, "Lady, that's a nice perfume." And how marvelous you feel when your child says, "Mommy, you smell so good." Ah, the difference fragrance makes in a woman. Look, dress becoming, makeup looks right, hairdo fine, but something important is missing. Fragrance, of course. No costume, no woman is complete without it. For fragrance, selected with care and worn with grace, is the very essence of being a woman. Haunting and tantalizing, memorable and exciting. That's the joy of living with fragrance.
Fragrance anyone? Fragrance everyone. Wow, Avon. It's such a great film. I love it, even though my sinus is just going to go, they just seal up. Just wanted to say a quick thank you to Juliet and AJ for donating some coffee to the AV Geeks Fund. AV Geeks runs off of coffee, believe it or not. It's what gets the brain working, wakes me up, etc. So thank you so much for your kind donations with that. If you like what you saw, and you're on YouTube or Facebook, like what you saw, literally physically like it, or subscribe. Now that you can quantify how much you like by actually liking something. Patreon is a place you can donate. It's kind of like a tip jar subscription service. And thank you for that. That's money that goes towards purchasing new things that we show. And we've had like 60 or 70 films show up. And we paid for shipping for them. So thanks, everybody. avgeeks.com is where all these broadcasts are archived, and also other films that we've digitized over the years live there, and you can also buy DVDs. Thank you so much for your attention today and your kind comments, and we will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock I'll have a special guest, Marcia Gordon, Professor Dr. Marcia Gordon, and we're going to talk about how wonderful it is to be a girl. So everybody have a great rest of the day, and we will talk soon. Take care. Thanks.